YouTubers, and welcome to another episode of the vlogs. We've just got off the water for a lovely little paddle, and then we've got some more race prep for Regatta. But first things first, after a session, we've got to fuel up, because remember, food is fuel. Good. And we've made it to the car. We've got some fuel, got some southern fried chicken baguette, some bananas, and some Greek yogurt. What have you got, Ed?
I have a Starbucks coffee.
Why do you have
other coffee drinks?
Why do you have coffee? Do you like coffee? No, I'm not a fan of coffee.
I got some vanilla-filled dog nuts and a meat feast.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'm quite happy with my southern fried chicken, but as always, food is fuel. Just a quick hop to the shop to get some food, and then we're going to be back on the water and then back to the club. Oh yeah! And we've made it back to the car park with the banana and the donut. But we've got European Championship starting today, or the European Championship starting today in Lucerne, in an awesome place to row. It's supposed that some people call it the Lake of the Gods because it's that good. It's a pretty cool place to row. It's like a sheltered place, and it's pretty central as well and easy to get to if you're in Switzerland. But good luck to everyone racing this weekend, especially the GB team, as I know a lot of those guys, and everyone else racing as well. It's going to be an awesome event there. Usually the third World Cup is Lucerne, but this year it's the European Championships for a little bit of a change, because remember, variation is a key to motivation. But we've got the banana, we've got some more food to fuel up, and we've got Baller and raving out while we wait on the next session. But now we're going to continue to eat, continue to fuel, continue to bounce to Baller's beats, and then we'll get in the water. So let's get to it.
Right, should we not do what they did and...
Yeah, fair. And we've made it onto the water. Let's go get rowing. And we have made it onto the dock after some speed work. Now it's time to get back to the club and get some food, because remember, food is fuel. And we've made it to the crew room here at the Leander Club for Fish Friday and Special Shirt Friday. We've got some lovely fish pie and some veg to fuel up after the sessions, because remember, food is fuel. And we're also looking at the races that are happening at Europeans. The men's 8s have just raced and they're doing some very quick times. What was it, 5:27 for the Germans and 22 in the other race for the Dutch? That's very, very quick. And like we discussed the other day about sort of theoretical max speeds of those boats, or any boat, those speeds, like 5:22 is approaching the world record, so the conditions should be quick, and obviously those guys are the top of the world all those guys racing at Europeans and girls. But we're going to keep on watching what's going on with the races. I think the women's 8 did really well in theirs as well, so that's absolutely amazing. But we're going to keep watching and keep an eye out on people that we know and all the races, because it's really interesting to see what's going on over there, and just to sort of look at how the world's top rowers are performing, how they're rowing, how they're looking, how they're racing. But now it's time to fuel up. It's about enjoying that race, that regatta, that whatever it is you're doing, is just to enjoy it as best you can and make, because when you enjoy it, not only can you, the potential, I feel like the potential to get the best out of yourself increases, but also, I mean, enjoying it, why do something if you don't enjoy it? I hear a lot of people say, like, complaining about this or that, and it's when, of course, everyone has their days where, oh, this isn't going well, or like I've failed a lot of, many times, and some days have been not great, other days have been really great. So you want to make sure that you're not sort of digging yourself into a little bit of a hole where there isn't any enjoyment, and you just want to maximize that, because like I said, when you can enjoy yourself, it's almost as if there's less pressure, or I feel like there's almost less pressure on yourself, and then you can just go full yam. But that would be the biggest tip. Tip number one, no matter what you're, not even if it's a regatta, no matter what you're doing, just trying to enjoy it. Tip number two is make sure you know exactly what you're doing. And what do I mean by that? It seems pretty obvious. Well, not only, so you need to know what you're doing for, say, the warm-up. You need to know what you're doing in the race. You need to know what you're doing fuel-wise, because remember, food is fuel. You need to know what you're doing post-race. That's what I mean by you need to know what you're doing. And it can also extend back to, so if I'm racing Sunday, I'm thinking now about what I'm doing for Sunday. So it all goes into that as well. So you really need to have a focus on what you're doing, what your crew is doing, so making sure that everyone is on the same page all the time. And that comes with, like, when boats row together for longer, it becomes more of a sort of second nature. But as new crews come together, like if you're, for example, going and racing this weekend in a, not so much a scratch boat, or maybe a scratch boat, but maybe a boat that's only been together for a short period of time, then it's not obvious. So certain things aren't obvious, like say, the race plan might not be totally set yet, or the warm-up, or even sort of how each of you deals with coming up to a race. But once you start spending time and you race together more often, you know sort of, okay, one of the guys in the boat that I'm racing in, for example, gets loud, and then one of the other guys doesn't get loud. So you have to make sure that when you do approach those individuals, you approach them in the right way and to get the best out of them. But that would be tip number two, making sure you know what you're doing, and that's just a general thing. Make sure you're planned and you're organized. So tip number one is just enjoy it, no matter what you're doing. Tip number two is essentially be organized and know what you're doing. But they would be the biggest two things I could really emphasize and focus on for this weekend, is just keeping the head down, keeping focused, and trying to enjoy it. So that's what I'm looking at this weekend, and hopefully you guys have a great weekend. If you're going to Met Regatta, hopefully it's really good and you have a great race. But it is Friday, so hopefully you'll have a great weekend as well, and hopefully you've all had a little bit of some fancy shirts on too. But that will be it for today's video, Yam Squad. Hopefully you've enjoyed a little bit going through the day. I've not had a full day of sort of the vlogging for a little bit actually. Let me know in the comments below if you prefer that or sort of just a more condensed day, and have a good one. And we've made it onto the water. Let's go get rowing.
That was one of your greatest intros. Let's go get rowing.
No, he was like, let's go get rowing.
Very calm.
It was fucking...
Well,